I've only heard one band that has some things in kind of similarity to yourselves. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. They're from Prague, I think. Cathedral in Flames.
Yeah. So, do you know David Batts?
No.
So he owns the Release the Bats Club in LA. And he has his morning show, and he likes to he plays our music and Cathedral and Flames music together on every single one of their shows. And that's where I first heard them. Love the male-female vocal situation.
Yeah.
So I can see the similarity. I really like their music.
You're different, but there is something there that's similar. And again, like I agree with you, they've got this great male-female vocal thing going. And have you heard their song Black Train?
Well,
I think the album was called Black Train as well. But if you listen to Black Train, it's such a great song. And they've got another song on that album that is the female vocalist, past, because the Black Train is the male. And again, just like yourselves, just got this phenomenal style. And like I said, although you can kind of have this, what they call it, a Venn diagram, where there's a little crossover, but you've got so much differences, but there's that little bit that just fits perfectly there, that is just you two bands. I mean, I could imagine you two bands doing like gigs together, and I think it would work so well because you'd grab in the fans perfectly.
Yeah, maybe we should both play the Malta Festival.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it? That really would.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that would be the dream. You guys, Cathedral in Flames and a Cloud of Ravens, and that would be me on the moon forever. Such great sounds from you guys. I mean, you three bands all together, that would be just phenomenal.
So the Cloud of Ravens is they're in Brooklyn.
And, yeah.
We're on the East Coast. We're about 4 hours away.
4 hours, is it really? Wow.
Yeah. So it sounds like, I think Prague is going to have to come to us. It'd probably be easier to get all of us. You bring them over.
I'd love to.
We all get, we do something. We could do something in New York. That would be fantastic. If not DC, that would be fantastic.
And what a concert that would be.
The whole East Coast, yeah.
That would be the ultimate goth concert. That would.
Yeah, we can really make that a festival for Mike.
Yes.
Yes.
That would be brilliant. That would, yeah. I mean, that really would be the darker side of music, to use my name. It really would be. It's just absolutely phenomenal. That would be. I mean, all quite new bands in a way, and just all so good. But it's just getting your names out there, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Getting people to actually listen to something new, because a lot of people are stuck listening to the same bands because they've got a big name and that's what they listen to. But there's so much fantastic music out, like yourselves and the others, and it's just, please listen to something else. Come on, give these other bands a great chance, And I think that's what we need to do: get people to listen to other bands and not be stuck in those little bits of just those few that they know and they're fans of.
Yeah, and kudos to you, Mike, for helping us with this effort.
I love helping bands, and I think, I hate using the word smaller bands, but I just think that people like yourself need a hand. Otherwise, just how are you going to get noticed if nobody gives you a chance?
Yeah, and it's so interesting. Tim had mentioned this earlier. even though we're mostly a local band still, every time people hear us, they're always surprised that we're a local band. A lot of people have commented on that they imagine us on a huge stage. So
yeah, that's what I thought, to be honest.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, we should really make an effort to play outside of DC.
No, I was very surprised when you said that you'd only played in DC, because I honestly thought you were a lot bigger on the global stage as such, because your music is that quality. So it's like, why aren't they on that global stage? I just always get surprised by that when bands tell me that, they're only small because this and this, and you think, why is that? Why aren't they noticed? I just don't understand that sometimes. It's just like, give these bands a great chance. Give them a shot. You might be surprised.
Thank you.
And I admire radio stations that will give you a go as well. I think that's a good thing. There are some. Sorry, go on.
It's funny that radio stations that play us really love us, like David Batts. He owns the biggest goth club. Dave, if you're listening to this, hi. He owns the biggest goth club in LA, and we're like this local DC band, and he plays our music on every one of his shows. And he's talked about us a lot. And one time I logged on to his show, and a lot of, the Red Party in New York City.
No.
They were there, and Shrouds. So all these people were like, "Oh, you are the NEURO FARM. You're the band that Dave plays on every show." And I was like, "That's it's so sweet." But you're right, though. We need to get more people to listen to us, because people that hear us tend to like us.
I was going to say, I think once people hear you, they will like you. But it's just getting them to break that mold they're in and actually listen. It's how do you get a band out there more? And that's the difficult part. And it was like at the festival when it was here, there's a couple of bands that came, and I've kind of heard them, because obviously I get sent a lot of different music to listen to, and I'd heard them, and you think, yeah, they're good. And then you hear them live and you think, whoa, these are really good. These aren't just good, they're very good. They're very different to what you hear on a CD or on Wave or MP3. They're just so different, and they're so much lively. There's just so much going on, and it's just, people have to be able to get access to you. That's the thing. And it's, how do you get access to people? Or to bands, sorry. And it's just like, you need the access to the fans, and fans need access to you, but it's how to mold that together to make it work. And I just don't know what the answer is at times, because you can only try your hardest and your best, and to try and get that across. But you guys definitely need to be heard. Definitely.
Thank you.
But your global stage quality. So why is it not happened? That's the thing. But I think the pandemic probably hurt a lot of small bands like yourselves, because you basically couldn't do anything, could you? You couldn't even promote your own records in a way.
No. And actually, and this was briefly brought up before, but there was a tour that was planned, and I was not part of that tour. This was before I joined. So the pandemic certainly canceled that. But then I guess the silver lining of it all was that then there was time to work on the Vampire album, and then that's when they reached out to me. So I benefited from the canceled tour because it may have not worked out timing wise for me to get have, to work with everyone and work on the album. And in that sense, the pandemic, keeping us home, and we had a system of passing files around and working. We were all competent enough to be able to just do that without much issue of passing files back and forth and working on the music that way. And then it took us a while before we actually were in person together. And I think it really sort of, at least for us, it ended up being more of a blessing than a curse with the pandemic because of what came out of it.
It's really good, isn't it?
Sorry. Sure. Oh, I would have phrased it the other way around. I think the NEURO FARM benefited from COVID, because if it wasn't for COVID, we wouldn't have found Tim. We probably would have gone on that little tour with our bass player at the moment. But I remember around June, because COVID happened in March, around June, Colin, Brian, and I were sitting outside and thinking, we've got to do something. And then we thought of Tim, and then to our surprise, he agreed to join our band because Tim is really good. So yeah, if COVID hadn't happened, we wouldn't have had the luck to find Tim.
You found me. You just had to invite me. That's all. It's like you had to invite me in. Going back to the
well, we didn't think you'd join us.
I was always there.
That's true.
We did shows together. We had played shows together with as different bands. Like another band that I have, and we played shows together. So we were aware of each other. I was very aware of the NEURO FARM. So I was I was a fan of their music before I joined. So I had seen them live a few times already. And matter of fact, when we started to think about playing live and playing any of the older songs, the songs that I was involved in, I already had a short list. I was like, oh no, these were my favorite songs. I already had favorite songs that I wanted to play and learn and include into our live sets. So.
And we were fans of Tim before Tim joined the band. Although I can't think of your greatest hits.
It's really worked well, hasn't it, then?
Yeah.
So something good came out of that then, in the end.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you realize how good the band is, or is that just still not sunken in how good you are?
So, I think collectively we're all fairly humble people. And as scientists, I tend to be more critical, right? So if I look at the objective evidence, people tell us that we're good, but at the same time, we're not really, again, I think that's the issue of not playing outside of DC. So I don't really know. And God forbid we become people that think that they're great, but they're actually not, because that would be embarrassing. So it's probably good to err on the side of caution and be surprised when people tell us that we're good. But Mike, you're too kind. Really appreciate it.
No, I just love your music. I mean, it really is great music. So you should be very proud of it. You really should, because it's great music. Trust me on that one. It really is
Mike,
good.
You know what else too? I think we're all old enough that we're able to we're able to step outside ourselves enough and observe ourselves from afar, both individually and collectively as a band. And by that, I mean, after you get over the excitement of, let's say, the excitement of writing a new song, like, wow, this is great. I love it. This sounds wonderful. Then you put it on the shelf for a little while and step away from it. And then you come back and you listen to it a week or two later. And you're like, okay, it really is good. It's as good as I thought it was. That's a wonderful luxury to have, but it just allows you to put things in perspective a little bit. And again, so I do think we all realize that we're fortunate enough and have been empowered, enabled, blessed, whatever it is, to be able to prepare quality music together. And we know that and recognize that. However, the big however is that, to Rebecca's point, music is music. Like, you know, we've done something that we like. Hopefully other people like it and have responded to it. And that's great when that happens. But music is kind of like this ethereal thing. You kind of like try and capture it. You know, you can't, sometimes like music, this is so cheesy and corny, but like music kind of writes itself sometimes. You find it or you don't find it. Or you just try and keep working at it and improve and get better. And there are a lot of bands out there that are working just as hard or harder than we are, and are as talented or as skilled as we are or any other bands. So you really have to keep things in perspective. And just, again, if you put on your I'm going to be an artist hat by trying to create something that's genuine and of quality and that's truthful to what you're doing, that's kind of all you have at the end of the day. You know, any like, you know, pats on the back or you know, that kind of stuff, it's nice, it's wonderful, but you know, just maybe the satisfaction is just there of trying to do something of quality that you like, and hopefully if other people like it, that's a wonderful response to have. But it doesn't always happen. There are a lot of other bands out there that have, you know, more success than it's not a competition, it's not a race, but you know, there are other bands out there that have much more success or doing things better than we are, whatever. Again, it's not, you just do what you do. And if it's fun and it brings you pleasure and satisfaction with anything you do, not even music, right? Whatever you do in life, if it brings you some pleasure and satisfaction, then you're winning. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. That is very true. And just to add a little bit to what you just said, I think there's bands out there that have got success, and I don't think they're as good as their success, if that makes sense.
Sure. Absolutely.
And there's far better bands that haven't had that success, and it seems they're so unfair, but that seems to be how life is, really. It can be very unfair at times.
There's so many underrated, under-recognized artists, and not even just in music, right? In any art form, whatever it is, visual art, in the theater and acting world. I mean, how many actors do you know, can you imagine, that are out there that are brilliant actors that will probably never get recognized the way that Brad Pitt gets, you know, whatever it is, right? I mean, there's so many skilled and talented people out there doing amazing work, but they're under-recognized for whatever reason. And that's just how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. And then there's the actors and actresses that get all the movies, and you just think, why have you been put in this movie again?
Yeah.
You're really not that great.
Hopefully in our case, hopefully, again, the only thing that we can control, the only thing we have the agency, you know, the ability to control is to do what we do the best that we can do it, and to the highest level quality possible. That's it. There's not much else that we can, there are things we can try to control, but we may or may not win at those games. But this, you know, in terms of the quality of the music and doing what the NEURO FARM does musically, that's something we can control.
Yeah. And just enjoy it. That's the main thing. Oh, and avoid Rebecca's bow.
Avoid her bow.
Yeah.
Watch out for
the bow, because that can end a band very quickly if you have no members left. I think
that's right.
Rebecca's voice and violin won't be the NEURO FARM if you haven't got you three with it. So,
ouch.
Yeah. Better be careful.
That's not a neuron behind her in her. That's actually just blood splatter from
from one of the violinists.
From my previous band members. You didn't know I had another.
Yeah, we don't have a bass player anymore.
Right, that's where the bass players kept going.
Oh.
That's a very Spinal Tap-ish thing, right? Another like terrible accident with another bass player gone.
But at least now I'll know that if in 10 or 15 years' time I see the three guys with eye patches on. I'll know what's happening. It's not a Pirates of the Caribbean thing.
Yeah.
It's a Rebecca's hit them in the eye with the bow.
That's why you don't see that many bands with violin players. That's why. Because they don't last. They all get
the bands
stabbed.
don't last.
These are for vision. These are for protection. These are
protective glasses. Yeah. You've got to look out there. Is it Brian? Yeah, Brian. Because you haven't got glasses. The other two have.
Sure. I'm the only one. Yeah.
Pardon?
Need to wise up a little here.
Yeah, you're the one that's going to suffer because they've got glasses.
Hey, next gig we play, we're going to show up wearing football helmets. Watch.
Yeah. I think Brian. It's hard to tell in this forum, but Brian is the tallest of us, so maybe he just figures his height is the advantage.
He's out of reach.
Rebecca being the smallest and Brian being
My bow doesn't reach his eyes.
Yeah.
That's clever, Brian.
It's clever to be tall.
You can use it to fend it off. The keyboards and drums are a little more static. We can't it's harder for us to pick those up to defend yourselves. But the guitar, you can at least reflect.
That's true.
Be like a comedy sketch on stage. What do they call it?
Our next
Is it
video,
slapstick?
I think. It's our next video we're going to do.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Laurel and Hardy on stage. Fantastic.
Speaking to all that, and again, I just to drag it out, but the points made about the quality of the music and the quality of the product, I guess. I mean, you could talk about chord structures and lyrics and talk about the quality from that level. But I think also just even from the production of it and the final product that we put out, we care about it and we take the extra time. If you look at our list of mixed notes for Vampire and now even going forward, we spend time making sure that it sounds the best, and there is a level of quality. And I think, again, it goes back to what we grew up on and what we listened to. If we were listening to nothing but, punk bands or something where maybe the recording isn't always the best. But then, I'll go back to the Pink Floyd thing is, Pink Floyd was on the cutting edge of their studio work and what they did. And I think there's that quality of a level of finesse that we like to put there because, I'll tell you, our demos, I think a lot of it has to do with technology too, but I think our demos that sound pretty darn good. And we could release probably a lot of our stuff on demos if we just stopped there and said, there it is. Let's put it out. But no, we'd spend the time. Let's re-record the vocals. Let's re-record this, or let's do. So we have I guess just an idea, and maybe the standard is maybe higher than average of what we expect the end product is going to be. We're proud of the music, but but at the same time, we making sure that we have the pride in the process and in putting the final polishing touches on the music before sharing it with others and saying, hey, this is who we are. This is what we represent, because, we have the talent and knowledge in-house between the four of us to make that happen. So we're fortunate in that way that we can do that in-house and not just record a quick demo and have to take it to someone else to do the labor to make it sound good. Like we have a pretty good sense of what we want, and the vision is there. But I think also that the level of quality standard is probably higher than most.
That's good, because that comes across. That really does come across, that you care about the quality that's coming over from the music.
To piggyback on what Tim was saying, I think our band really benefited from having two people, Brian and Tim, who are good at mixing, because I was just thinking that as Tim was talking, if in a band only one person is good at mixing, then they'll hear the nuances that other band members don't hear, right? Because when you do the mixing yourself, you hear a lot of subtleties. And Brian was actually telling me this, that in Rammstein, surprisingly, there isn't much bass. So there are a lot of these counterintuitive technical aspects that, unless you do mixing, you don't really hear. So, but in our band, Brian and Tim both know how to do mixing. So they go back and forth until things sound perfect. And me and Colin cheer them on.
That's brilliant. So do you think that's why your music sounds so polished? Because of Tim and Colin?
I think it has to. I think there's part of it. I think the end product is that, and the polish of that is there. But there's also the production standpoint. I think there is the layers and things that that are added in, and it really is just adds up, in a way that the final product, the sum of all those parts that we've all put into it is, and presenting it in the best sounding and most polished way as possible. Not to say that it couldn't be better. It's just that when, we get to a point of, the song is done, the songs are written, and, we could even say that right now about this next album coming up, is that, we have, I think 11 songs already written from, lyrics, chord structure, everything's basically written and arranged to the point where now it's going back and sort of polishing those up. Now it's going back and retracking anything that we need to retrack, or adding elements that maybe weren't there before, fill in the gaps of source, but the structure's there. The songs exist and they're there. And if we wanted to, I'm sort of joking that probably in the next month, we could probably just hammer this out and just do one or two passes and say, okay, that song's done, that song's done, that song's done. But no, we have a process, and I think it's good that, sometimes detrimental to timelines, but we have a process that, we don't want to release it until we feel like this is the final version. This is what we really feel like is ready to go. This is what we were imagining in our heads. So we have that, I think that's just something that, I guess, I'm also glad to be, in this band, is, Brian is doing all the heavy lifting with tracking and mixing, and has the ability to do it with the vocals, and basically he can do everything there in our headquarters, in our band headquarters, if you will. And,
basement.
Yeah, but it works. But then, and then they come in and say, all right, now we can, that we start to fine tune and start to do things, like having, that's great to be able to bounce off of each other and really sort of, get feedback on things. I think that's something that's, I don't think can be overstated, how much that impacts the final product.
Yeah,
in a positive way.
Tim and I really both enjoy that aspect of music, and are willing to spend even too much time doing that sort of thing. So, I think it really does help the quality of what we're doing a lot. It's just as a function of time.
I think it's good that you're giving it the time as well. I think that because of the end product is so good. It's obviously a system that works, and for then obviously you two to give them the time to do their technology and mixing and whatever they do is just fantastic. That obviously you work well as a band, or as a team, I could say, which is advantageous, isn't it? Because some bands don't work well together.
And
No,
did you
I-
notice that the two producers in this band have the same look, same hat?
What's our producer hats?
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, there you go.
Sometimes you just put the producer hat on, and that's what it is.
Which we did right before this call.
Yeah, exactly.
Only one's very tall and avoids bows.
That's right. But the other has goggles, so
Yeah,
they'll survive.
protect.
Mhm.
Is there anything else you guys would like to mention that maybe I've not mentioned?
So our new single is coming out really soon. It's being mastered right now. Do you guys the producers want to add anything?
I mean, it's out of my hands. Do we have an actual release date? I know we were thinking early June.
We can share
Yeah,
song.
we're-
We can share
We're
song
a few
title,
weeks
right?
out. You're a few weeks out. It's called Panic.
Panic.
Yeah, Panic is the name. I mean, Rebecca and Brian, if you guys want to give like a 2-sentence synopsis, I guess, of what the new album, essentially the themes and such, but lyrically.
It's still coming together a little bit. For this song, it's literally about panic, but the lyrics actually come from a memory of a time when I was a kid and I had a fever and I was completely delirious with fever and was just out of my mind panic that something I was going to fail to do was going to cause the house to explode and basically everyone to die. And it's completely irrational panic, but that's something that's always stuck with me in my head, that memory.
Wow.
That's what the song's about. The music's a little harder rocking than our typical NEURO FARM fare.
Awesome. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's been a fun one.
I think it's our best song yet.
Really?
Yeah.
Definitely looking forward to it.
When you Mike, when you hear it, you'll see what Rebecca was referring to earlier about it being a little bit harder edge to it. It's definitely NEURO FARM, but has a little bit more of an aggressive edge to it. You'll see what she meant by that when you hear it. It's just a couple weeks away.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah, quite excited to hear that. Definitely.
The new album sort of has this central theme of mental psychiatric disorders. So I think when I first started playing music out, on stage, I was trying more to be a musician because my day job, so Brian and I are neuroscientists, and that's what we do most of the time. So that's my main identity, right, when I think of myself. But now, sort of like what you were saying, Mike, the goth scene is very welcoming. And they don't think that being a scientist is weird at all. In fact, a lot of people think it's cool. So yeah. I feel more comfortable leaning into the sciencey part of, our identity. And it is, and our band name is just that people are always surprised to find out why we're called the NEURO FARM, because we're actually neuroscientists. So embracing the nerdism.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Oh, thanks.
It is cool.
Yeah, when we told people our name at first, I remember people saying, "Oh, that's so nerdy."
Really?
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was a cool name.
Thanks.
What's funny is that our scientist friends would think it's nerdy. Our musician friends would think it's cool.
Oh, how strange is that?
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't find it nerdy at all. I just think it's cool.
Oh.
Oh, thank you.
Cool.
Thanks.
And yeah, I just think it's a brilliant name. And now I know that you're neuroscientists. It kind of makes sense, but it didn't have to make sense if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
There was no reason for it to make sense, but it does make sense.
Explains the occupation.
Yeah. But the other two, Tim and Colin, are not neuroscientists.
No,
No, we're just fans.
Appreciators. Yeah.
Yeah.
appreciators of all things scientific, but not scientific.
Read all the journals and listen to the podcast, but
right.
Just a fan. Not.
Oh, that's good. But it reminds me of the American sitcom Big Bang Theory, where I can't remember her name, but the woman that was in there, she was supposed to be a scientist, and in real life, she really was.
Oh, cool.
Actress.
Yeah, I can't remember what her name was. But yeah, that was a funny thing when it was realized that although she was an actress, she was actually a scientist in real life. So, and exactly the same scientist as she was playing in the sitcom.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So that was kind of good. So it reminds me of that with you two being neuroscientists.
And I bet her peers and her colleagues are probably like, "That's nerdy," and then other actors are like, "That's really cool."
That's cool. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Just like the other scientists, like the neuroscientists, like, no, that's nerdy because it's a little too inside. Like, oh, that would be cheesy to them, but then to anyone outside of that, like, oh, that's pretty
cool. It's cool. Yeah, it's cool.
Hey, you guys, I'm sorry to be the party pooper. I'm going to actually have to drop off because there's some folks here to see me.
Nope, that's fine.
Oh, what did you do?
No, I'm giving away some drum gear actually, and a person that is taking some of my gear is here to see the stuff. This is all part of spring cleaning efforts at my place, and so
that's fair enough.
They're here to look at what kind of gear I can send them home with.
That's awesome.
So I'm doing my part to try and promote young musicians by giving them stuff.
Very cool.
So I'm going to drop off. I apologize for being the party pooper.
No, that's fine. Just take care and thank you very much for being part of.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
See you guys next week, by the way, at rehearsal.
Yeah.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, Colin.
Bye. Oh, screens will move around now.
Oh, yep.
One thing I do want to mention before anything finishes here is you did a cover of New Dawn Fades.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite something to try and cover, isn't it?
Yep.
But you did it. You did it so well.
Oh, thank you.
You respected the original, but you made it the Neuro Farm, and that is brilliant.
Oh, thanks. I absolutely love the original of that song, and those lyrics are so powerful.
They really are, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'm glad.
Sorry.
Okay. I was just going to say I'm glad you think we did it justice because, it's a very meaningful song to me.
It is. And I've heard quite a few different covers of it by different bands. And there's only 2 covers I've ever liked. And one of them is yours. And one of them took me by surprise because it's by Moby. Have you heard that one? No. Have you ever heard that one?
Mm-mm.
Forget everything you know about that kind of music that Moby does and listen to his version of New Dawn Fades.
Oh, wow.
It's actually surprising. It really is a good version as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Again, he made it his, but he was true to the original as well. And lots of emotion in it and feeling as well, like yourselves. And it's great when bands like yourselves can take classic tracks like that and make it yours, but keep it true. And that's quite an art, really, isn't it? Especially like Tim said, not Tim. You've moved around, so I'm a bit confused now. When you've loved the song so much, you've got to try and do that respectful thing to it. And that isn't always easy, is it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know that you're doing it right? And that really does become quite hard, really, I guess. But you've done a great job with that. Really good.
And I really have to credit so they were performing this live already before I ever joined. And I think the recording of it, I think it was inevitable that it was going to happen, that we were going to have to record that and release that. And I think the between Brian's vocals and Rebecca's violin on that, I think that really heightens the emotions of that song. And I think that really is, to me at least, that's what I love the most about the version that we do.
100% agree with you on that.
Yeah, we played it live.
Great combination.
The crowd response was always really nice to that song.
I was going to ask you what was the response. Yeah. And it was a good response.
Yeah, for sure. I got a lot of comments after the show. I've gotten a lot of comments after shows when we played it. Yeah, people really like it. All the Joy Division fans out there, and there's a fair amount of that. Yeah, they really appreciate it.
And let's be honest, it feels like there's a lot of Joy Division fans.
It feels like a deep cut for Joy Division because we'll sometimes introduce it like, here's a Joy Division song, and then we'll play it, and people are expecting, a handful of other more popular songs of theirs, and then we play that, and then we've had some of the other musicians or bands we played with come up to us and say afterwards, like, wow, that's my favorite song of theirs, or that's version was so fantastic. Like, they're actually familiar with the song, and we've gotten a lot of compliments from it. So we tend to keep that in our set list as much as possible because it's nice. It's nice to have that in there and have that, even if people don't know the song, I think it fits in with our sound and everything we do. It doesn't stick out as something that we're trying to do something outside of our abilities.
No, it's a great song lyrically as well. It's just a fantastic song. It really is. I think it's probably not one of their most well-known, is it? I wouldn't have thought. I think they just Love Will Tear Us Apart, probably.
Yeah.
Their most iconic one. Which is a shame because they have so many good songs.
Oh, yeah.
I used to love the album Closer.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic album. Absolutely fantastic. And I know I'm going old school, but the B-side seemed to be the best side of it. And it was just incredible, that side. And it was absolutely fantastic album. But yeah, you taking on New Dawn Fades and doing it justice was very surprising how good that was. Really good. I'm pretty sure that you're going to do really well once you leave DC. We feel like we play a lot of the, we do play a good bit of the Vampire album live, and I feel like that, because we're playing mostly in the same area, or at least within, say 40 to 50 miles of DC, we tend to play, the bulk of our set is, we sort of have our staple songs, but the staple songs, we're like, well, it's old to us. It's, probably old to a few people who come out to every show of ours. Yeah.
And then, we're starting to now add the new song. As we're finishing the new songs for the new album, we're starting to add those into our live set. But, we were thinking of it like, we're going to play when we play some festival later this year. We're going to play some cities we've never played before. And we're going to play this song. This is going to be brand new to them. Or this is going to be, it's old to us for some of these songs, but it's going to be brand new to everybody else. And I guess I could understand some larger bands with much greater success don't always like to play their own hits because they feel like, they're so tired of it because they're playing that everywhere. But for us, it's like, oh my gosh, no one's heard of this stuff before. I can't wait. And I hope people are like, those are the hits. Man, I wish we could have seen NEURO FARM back in the day when they were playing this set, like this was, like it's sort of those. I know that's a bit far-fetched, but that is something. That's a thought that kind of motivates me. That
I think what new fans may find unusual is when they go and look you up after a concert, they're going to see that you are quite new, and I think that will shock a lot of people. I really do think that will shock a lot of people because, like I said before, your music is not from a band that's new. It's from a band that's been established over a long time. So you've kind of set the bar high for yourself already.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing. So don't get me wrong on that, because it's not a bad thing at all. But you have set your bar very high.
Oh, thank you.
I'm just looking forward to new stuff from you. I just think you've done so well. And of course, I will push you on the website as much as I can, and on social media, I always share to as many as I can social media places. So,
thank you.
Got to.
You're the best.
No, I just love music, and I love helping people. So you put the two together. This is what I do now. So I do it for the love of it, and when you find bands like yourself that also do it for the love of music, I think that's deservedly that you get as much help as possible. So that's what I will try and do.
Oh, thank you.
No, that's good. It's good.
Oh, better get this album done.
Yeah, we gotta get going. Yeah, a couple of months. So, but yeah, that's. I could just say that the only thing I would say else in this is that I'm very excited about the new songs. I go back and listen to those ideas that they've been sort of being put out there over a period of the last probably 6 months plus, and I get back and listen to some of those songs, and they're, again, these are demos, but they're well recorded and structured demos. And I got a really good sense, like these are sounding like I think the songs themselves, I think, are going to be fantastic. I think there's just twists and turns in some of these songs that I always look forward to. Like now that I know it's coming, I get excited about it. Like I'm excited to, finish these songs.
Well, that's a good thing that you get excited about your music. It really is.
Yay.
I'm excited just to be a part of it,
Well, we're excited to have you too.
Sometimes it's just like, man, I can't wait to put my name on this, in some manner.
Brilliant. It's almost like a fan joined the band, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I was a fan of what they were doing before I joined. So it's nice that they're still a fan of the music after I joined.
Yeah.
Oh, Tim made us so much better.
Oh no, I would just say like it certainly could have gone south.
Yeah, I think as you stand now, though, I think it's all four of you together has made the Neuro Farm what it is, and it's something that you should be very proud of because it's worked really well. You seem to be four people that enjoy each other's company. You have a laugh together as well, and just have to avoid Rebecca and the bow. But no, you all seem to get on really well, and you all seem to know your place and put everything together in a really great way.
We found our roles, and we respect, the roles, and we respect just the others' ideas, and anything we do, nothing is set in stone, and we certainly, there's the ability to change things as we go along, and there's no pushback there's a lot of just there's a lot of, I guess, pride in the work that we're doing and the end product, but it's not that we're too prideful to have a part that we've written changed or modified and taken out or something. And I think that works well. I think we have that mutual respect for each other and what our roles are in the band and what we bring to it. So
I was going to use the same word, mutual respect, that you've got for each other. And it's great that you're all open to changing little bits and things like that, because I think that way you all recognize then what the goal is the same goal as each other, is to make that song or that album or that single the best it can be.
Exactly.
So great. It's a what do you call it? You've got a central goal, and that's what you're going for. It's brilliant. Really is.
Synergy.
Synergy is the word, is it?
Yeah, it's kind of an inside joke because, it's a word that every company overuses. But in a serious way, though, we do have synergy, although we think that word is hilarious.
What is funny about the word? Because I'm lost by it. Sorry.
Oh, only because big corporations overuse the word synergy. Like if you see a generic ad about any corporate culture, it's always like teamwork, synergy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. It's a well overused word.
Yeah.
It's a very non-cool musical way of saying that we have a common goal and we work well together. And unless we say synergy, but we spell it SINER.
Oh.
Yeah, we could do that. Oh, I'm sure. You know what? I will bet you there are about several dozen club nights that are called Synergy, or actual venues just called Synergy, spelled that way. Why not?
It wouldn't surprise me. But these companies, they do overuse words, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
One of the big things that I remember being pointed out by these big companies just was how, for example, shampoo, the men's shampoo, it's good for your hair, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to a female aimed product, it's this shampoo contains Serotin B or some other completely chemical name. And it's like, why are they trying to confuse women with all these chemicals in it? There must be a chemical in it, so it must be good. Where the men just get a shampoo, the women get chemicals.
As a scientist, that cracks me up every time. And sometimes products will say that they have H2O. That's water.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the thing is, if you apply, don't get me started, a lot of shampoo has collagen in it, right? But your hair cells are dead protein strands. You do not absorb new protein into any cells. It has to go through the digestive tract and be processed into amino acids, and then that can go into your structural building blocks. You can just put it in shampoo and it magically goes into your hair. And then there's vitamin C and E. Those are not absorbed by the surface dead cells that's on top of our skin. And then sometimes products will say contains no chemicals, but everything's a chemical. If it's not an atom, if it has multiple atoms, it's a chemical. Sometimes things will say that they have no chemicals, and sometimes it's, with these chemicals. So it's just all over the place, and it's I feel bad for my womankind.
So basically, the only way to benefit from these shampoos is to actually eat it.
I would say you'd rather drink it, and you'll do you more good than putting it on your head.
Well, the thing is, people also eat collagen. The thing is, so the regulation of protein. Oh, you don't want to lecture on biochemistry, but so the regulation of protein synthesis is a highly regulated process. And when you eat proteins like collagen, it all gets chopped into amino acids, and that's how they get into your bloodstream and become available cells to use. So unless there's a precursor or some kind of transcriptional signal for the cell to be making proteins, it will not be making collagen. So even if you drink it, you're not going to benefit from it. Anyway, sorry. It's just, idiotic shampoo ads.
Just to say now, people now know why you're called the Neuro Farm.
There's more where that comes from.
Thing was, Brian's face was like, oh God. Oh dear, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You guys have been absolutely brilliant. It's been fun, it's been a laugh, it's been enlightening, and it's just been brilliant. It's been really entertaining and interesting as well talking to you guys. But the best thing, it's just been fun as well.
Oh, thank you, Mike. It's been really fun talking to you too.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Rebecca, Brian, Tim, and obviously Colin. Thank you so much for taking the time out, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you guys.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.